Okay, future self. If I can stand keeping Facebook for a full year, I'm kind of banking on this popping up in my memories if they still do that. So, self and whatever. Yeah, self. Hi, how's it going? I hope you are well, and I'm sending you tons of love. Um, so, I want you to remember that in this part of your life, in late June of 2021, you are starting to understand that you don't get help. And you've been asking for help, for professional, therapy and services, and you've been doing all the right things since you were 15 years old. So, like, do the math. That's almost 20 years you've been doing it. And it's a process, and that doesn't mean that it's always an upward trajectory. But like, you've done it for almost 20 years. And I want you to remember that this time, last year or whatever, this time in 2021, you finally, like, the aha moment happened, and you realize, like, you don't get help because you don't receive it. You're not meant to receive it from people. And I've been walking around my entire life thinking, if I matter, if I'm doing well enough to matter, first of all, if I'm doing well enough to matter, I will receive help. I will receive direction or guidance, or not so much an easy button as, like, my prayers will be answered in the form of, like, a hard conversation where somebody tells me, like, Alicia, here's your problem, and it just, like, touches my brain, and, like, it's an aha moment, and I get it. In this life, for whatever reason, like, I'm not going to sit here and analyze it. I have become programmed to reject and sort of mostly filter out, I think, most of the input that I get. I argue. I play devil's advocate. Like, that's just what I do. That's what I do. My brain just chews on things like they're like, if a brain can chew in the form of figuring out a Rubik's cube, that's how I chew on bones, and bones being ideas or processes. It's every idea that I have, or every bit of information that I have, is something that I sort of I chew it, I play with it, I break it down. It's a process. It takes time, and more often than not, a bulk of that process has to do with or being argumentative, or proving something wrong, or God forbid I decide for whatever reason to go with my bodily emotional response instead of do my research first, which I'm anyway. Sometimes you charge full ahead and you're just not informed. The thing is, and I'm not going to speak for other people, I'm done comparing myself to other people. I don't get help. And that's not like, oh, poor me, nobody will help me here. And it's not like, oh, I'm such a moron, an egotistical, dense person that I can't receive help. It's just, I don't get help because I have it. Like, and I think everybody does. And I said I wasn't going to speak for everybody, but, like, I do want to put that in there. Like, I don't think I'm special. I'm so very different. But for whatever reason, I've become tumbled and polished and programmed and conditioned to not get it from outside Every so often I can have a conversation with somebody where they validate something that I've already come up with, or they critique something that I've already come up with. But it's the clicks usually happen with stuff that I've already come up with, and people are reiterating or nudging. I hope that doesn't sound like it probably is. I'm probably a massive narcissist, but I just want you to know at this point in your life, like, you're becoming aware of these things. And it's okay. Like, you're becoming aware that it's okay. And that being your own therapist, for example, like, if no other therapist is going to be the right fit, and if you have an argument for, all of the many people who tell you they wish you would do therapy again after almost 20 years of doing it and taking the pills and finding out that the pills are wrong. The thing is, doing it, or like getting better, or the process of living life to the fullest and functioning highly and being your best you just doesn't look the same for everybody, right? And you are realizing that, a highly successful, beautiful day for you has to do with your projects going well, your inner world feeling peaceful and tranquil. Your fish tanks are clean and everything in there is growing and happy. Your garden is right where it needs to be. You've done everything. You're satisfied. You're peaceful. That's a good day. And that has nothing to do with what you did for money, what you didn't do, how many dishes are left in the sink, how many calories you did or didn't consume, how many likes you did or didn't receive, how many text messages you did or didn't receive, if this is the 5th or 7th day that you haven't heard your phone beep, that's not a mark of a good day for me. I'm learning this, and I'm learning that that's okay. I'm learning that success, no, thank you very much, does not mean, doesn't equate to the taxes that I pay, or the Social Security credits that are behind my name, or, which opportunities I've seized so that I have access to more hoops to jump, to, climb the ladder, to, commercial, conventional success. It doesn't all, being good, being happy, being alive and vibrant and free doesn't look the same for everybody. And that's okay. That's okay. That's good. That's more than okay. That's brilliant. Like, Alicia, variety is meaningful to you. And it's so meaningful to you that it's one of those things that, one of those few things that you don't know how to describe in words. You don't know how to use language. You know that diversity is sacred. And you are learning how to hold space for duality, for uniqueness, for chaos, for things outside of your control. You're learning to appreciate people having their ugly, bumpy ride moments, just like you do. Having incorrect perceptions, just like you do. Having made decisions based on things that you misunderstood, just like you do. You're holding space for the variety of ways that the universe expresses itself. You're holding space for your values. Alicia, you're turning your life into a container. It's an empty container, and you can put whatever you want in there. What are your values? I can say right now, and I hope that you reflect on this, and I wonder where I'm going to be in a year, but with this idea, because I know it'll morph and change, and people will probably have all kinds of opinions about it if I ever shared it. But I can be my own therapist. I can provide my own healing. I can do my own integration. And the truth is, everybody can and everybody has to. And I'm not going to say that like every dollar spent and every hour spent in a therapist's chair has been for naught. I mean, we have to get to the point where we can be our own therapist, whatever that takes. But I mean, whatever somebody else told you about yourself needs to be discarded before you can do this work. Because you have to fill that container with what fits and what doesn't fit. That container, for me, is home to an idea that says that there is no morality. Like, a sense of morality is a smokescreen that people use to point fingers and draw lines for us and them. There is no such thing as an absolute right or wrong truth. There's not. There's a reason and a season for every single thing that occurs, and in every single way that the universe expresses itself and experiences itself in this life. They're all valid. There is no moral failing to talk about. There are bigger picture things to talk about. There are the way that systematically, like, we keep people, I mean, I don't know, slaves, whatever the opposite of free is. The way that we have written that into the fabric of society, of humanity. I mean, it's everywhere. It's if you don't, you will be exploited, and you will be happy to be exploited. Instead of sort of servicing this economy so that maybe you'll have a shot at, having some money in the ATM tomorrow. How about, like, the economy needs to service people so that we have humans on the planet tomorrow when the ATMs, for whatever reason, short out. Yeah. How simple is that? Morality is there to complicate it and make it very scary. So there is duality, sure. But I don't, within my container that I have built here, morality isn't a concept that I subscribe to. There is no absolute truth. There is no absolute right or wrong in any given situation. Life is too complicated. There is no moral failing in mooching off your neighbors. Let's look at what happened, why that's happening. Because it's never just you're an opportunistic, lazy animal. Humans are scavengers. I mean, people want to say that we're like predatory or whatever, but like, we are scavengers. Don't get it wrong. But we're broader than that. Like, we're opportunistic. We will, kill things and eat them whenever it's easy, but we're scavengers. We're not going to do it if it's not safe and easy. Our brains are wired to be inherently lazy. Like, they take a lot of power. I think they use a lot of calories. So they have to be inherently lazy. They need to take the path of least resistance as far as their programming and their neurons. Everything is so complicated that it's a sustainability thing. Our brains are lazy. Like, we need to not complicate things so much. And that's okay. That's beautiful. Like, these human bodies that we get to cruise around in are like, they're sacred animals. They're like a sacred pet that loves us. And if we love it and let it love us, like, you know, the human experience can be pretty grand. I need you to know, Alicia, that because your experience of good and healthy and alive doesn't look the same as what you see the most people doing, like, that's okay. It doesn't mean it's not real, or like, just because you don't walk the same, or it doesn't mean you're not walking, Alicia. You glide. You're still walking. You're still moving. You look different, and nobody can put their finger on. I'm just kind of, why is this person not fitting? Why is this person, like, not blending? And that's not because you're bad. It's not because they're being warned of, like, a snake in the grass or a predator approaching. Like, they're not being alerted to your presence because you are dangerous, honey. You are different. Right now, your version of being a functioning, beautifully healthy, growing squash plant, human, whatever it is you are, like, that doesn't look the way you were raised to think it should look. So challenge that. It doesn't look the same, but look, it's still healthy. It still feels really, really good to be alive. I'm finding my way. I have hope for the future. And I'm glad that there's never going to be an end to the struggle and the discovery and the lessons. There's hope in that, honey. Knowing your strength, knowing your power, knowing that anybody who feeds a narrative that says you are anything but powerful, anything short of that, is just trying to feed a victim mentality, sense of narcissism, which is really good for the economy. I'm sorry, honey, but you're right. Like, you're not wrong. The economy is going to suck the life out of this planet, and if you let it, it will kill you. Don't let it kill you, baby. I love you. It's okay that morality isn't a thing you want in that jar, and that the idea that's in that jar instead is this bone you're chewing on that says maybe it's not even a thing. That's okay. You have no known function at this time. That's okay. People love pugs. Peace out.